that some will be. And some sleepless nights. But when I look around, and I think things over, all of my good days outweigh my bad days. I don't compare. The clouds hang low. I can hardly see the road. I ask the question, Lord. Lord, why so much pain? But He knows what's best for me. Although my weary eyes, they can't see, so I'll just say, thank you, Lord. I won't compare. But He is so good to me. He's been good to me. More than this world all you could ever be. He's been so good. But He knows what's best for me. Although my weary eyes, they can't see, so I'll just say, thank you, Lord. I won't compare. But He is so good to me. He's been good to me. More than this world all you could ever be. He's been so good. And dry all my tears. My midnight hurt today. So I just say thank you, Lord. I've been down, thank you, Lord. I've been talked about, thank you, Lord. I've been misunderstood, but thank you, Lord.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. If you can hear me in the chat, let me know. Woo. Sorry about being a little bit late, y'all. I successfully put Braxton to sleep tonight before starting my show. And I'm working with a couple of new things, so y'all gonna have to bear with me with this technology. 2024 is the year of the upgrade. And we have a request in the chat. Open My Heart by Yolanda Adams. We have a request. Open My Heart by Yolanda Adams. So while a couple more people are getting ready to come, I think that probably is a good idea to play Open My Heart by Yolanda Adams. Tonight, I want to basically go over a timeline, and we're going to get down to this Board of Trustees debacle. And then I'm going to open up the chat so that we can chat about it. There's a lot of stuff going on with the Board of Trustees meeting. We're just going to do a quick recap. And Lord, I will say this before we get started. The people, or they're not even people, they're kind of like trolls, I guess, on Twitter, because they don't necessarily have names and faces to them. But the sentiments on Twitter did not roll over to the Board of Trustees meeting. And what I mean by that is there was a lot of people, and I don't even know if I can call them people. There was a lot of representatives who come on to Twitter and they are purporting to be FAMU alum. They may or may not be FAMU trolls. They might not even be FAMU. And they were very, I'm not going to say they were being messy, but they were trying to push it like today, that Tiffany Don Sykes was going to be out the window. That was the sentiment that I got from FAMU Twitter trolls. But based off of the actual Board of Trustees meeting, when you actually have names to faces and the actual administration speaking, it was different. And Bayless says the players want the interim and the alum want role. Who does Sykes want? So what that means is even amongst alums, students, staff, administrators, that not everybody's going to be happy with the choice. So I think that just goes to show you that too many irons in the fire. And I think that could definitely affect this search on whether or not people are happy. You can't make everybody happy. Everybody wasn't happy that Prime was hired. Everybody is not going to be happy that with Texas Southern's coach. It's just a part of the coaching process. So I'm going to go ahead and play that special request, Open My Heart by Yolanda Adams, and then we'll get straight into the timeline. And we're going to start basically from, I want to say we'll start midway through. I don't want to necessarily start, let me see. We're going to start after the FAMU National Alumni Association had a meeting vote of no confidence, because that's basically the last update that we have, where we can go from that meeting up until the Board of Trustees meeting. Go ahead and like the stream. If you haven't already done so, subscribe. One of these days, we'll be talking about something other than coaching searches and hires. But at this point in time, this is an important topic in the SWAC. Lord, just to let people know that Jackson State has been there. We have been in this situation before, so do not be discouraged. Now, it hasn't been to this level. We got our coach in 10 days, but the coaching changes, the fallout, we've been there. So let me go ahead and, start this up. So we had January 10th, the FAMU National Alumni Association had a meeting vote of no confidence, and they stated a couple of reasons why. The pulling out of the Orange Blossom Classic, the increase in the investing in champions, the handling of the coaching search, the lack of transparency. These are some of the reasons that the National Alumni Association indicated that they had a vote of no confidence in AD Tiffany Dawn Sykes, excuse me. One of those reasons that they highlighted was that they did not get a thank you for the money raised. So it's interesting enough that FAMU AD Dawn Sykes uploaded a video to Facebook saying that she was going to do a national search. And today she basically repeated those sentiments that she was going to be doing a national search. Actually, I don't even think there was any type of changes. So Friday, to combat the statement that the National Alumni Association and other organizations did not receive a thank you, a email leaked, and it basically showed that AD Sykes did, in fact, thank the National Alumni Association, and she asked for it to be forwarded. So there was a couple of things that were echoed with this particular thank you. Number one, the first two paragraphs were basically Willie Simmons is resigning and I've accepted his resignation. And then the second part was Coach Colsey will be the interim head coach at this time. So folks probably didn't even read past that. That's all. That's the only two things you need to know is we raised all that money and Coach Simmons is still leaving and our interim head coach is Coach Colsey. Nothing else in that particular email mattered. And the other sentiments, of course, is that when you are doing a fundraiser to that magnitude, how important it is to reach out to those various stakeholders, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to ask them for money again. And so some of the alum felt like, hey, if you can call me and say, hey, you know what, can you please get me $25,000 by Saturday? And they raised 4 or 5 times that amount. They felt like you should have called and said, you know what, we weren't able to retain Coach Simmons, but I want to thank you personally for that, your fundraising efforts. Even if she just called some of the heads and said that. Basically, you asked for money via a phone call and thank you via a phone call. Now, some people might think that's petty because we're in the midst of a coaching search. There's a lot of stuff going on. So after that email came out, everybody's up in roar. Now it's SWAC against FAMU. The Board of Trustees schedules the January 16th meeting. This is actually a picture of AD Tiffany Dawn Sykes. Everybody in the chat, please type allegedly. Please type allegedly. Allegedly. I need at least 10 people to type allegedly. I should have said allegedly before I even put this on the screen. I guess I'll just wait a couple seconds. Okay, I see 1, 2. Allegedly. 3, 4. So allegedly, this is AD Tiffany Dawn Sykes and allegedly Coach Colsey this past weekend at a game. Oh, okay. So if folks see this, they're thinking, well, you know what? We know that there is a strong possibility that Colsey will be the permanent head coach, because we can see them sitting together at this basketball game allegedly over the weekend. And it was like, okay, today it's going to be announced. He's going to be the permanent head coach. That ain't what happened. That is not what happened. Last night, Fort Valley State Athletics made the announcement that they keeping their coach. They are keeping their coach. Their coach ain't going nowhere. He is signed, sealed, and delivered to lead the Wildcats. And folks were elated. Congratulations. This is so good. And it says, I'm excited to announce that Coach Sean Gibbs has officially renewed his agreement with Fort Valley State Athletic Association Board. And we are happy to have Coach Gibbs continue leading our Wildcat football program. Our discussions regarding the extension began following our historic victory in the Florida Beach Bowl. Despite enticing offers from other institutions seeking his expertise, Coach Gibbs has chosen to stay with us, reaffirming his commitment to our Wildcats. In the face of opportunities elsewhere, we were proud to secure his continued leadership. Coach Gibbs embodies a straightforward coaching style that resonates perfectly with our program. He's proven time and time again that he is the ideal fit for our institution, and we are confident that we will continue to elevate the growl in 2024. I want to express my sincere gratitude to all of you for your patience and unwavering support. Together, let's look forward to another successful chapter with Coach Gibbs leading the way. Renee Miles Payne, go Wildcats. So FAMU was happy about that. FAMU was happy about that, okay? But now we need to get back on FAMU, because at this Board of Trustees meeting, there's a couple of things to sum up the Board of Trustees meeting that I feel like are important points. And I just want to know how you guys feel about the coaching search. Now, mind you, AD Tiffany Don Sykes already told everyone she was going to hire she didn't say she was going to hire a coaching search firm. What she did say was that she's going to do a nationwide search, and she made that declaration on video. And she recorded it on a Friday on Facebook. She had already stated that that's what she was going to do. So with that being said, she'd already made that statement. So her sentiments didn't change. She didn't switch anything up from what she had already said on the video. So this is Allison Posey. And of course, I have to do my works cited, or basically my source. Allison Posey covers FAMU football and athletics. She says the search for Florida A&M's next head football coach will continue, as VP and Director of Athletics Tiffany Don Sykes announced during a special Board of Trustees meeting Tuesday. The meeting was called to give an update on the search for the Rattlers' next head football coach, and several current and former players spoke of the need to name a coach sooner rather than later in an effort to retain the success FAMU experienced this past season. Offensive lineman Jalen Goss was one of the members of the team that spoke today. Every day we don't have a coach, we're falling behind in our competition, he said during his allotted time. Quarterback Junior Miratovich echoed Goss' statements. He said hiring a coach is time sensitive and mentioned how they are losing recruits. We just want to be able to put a good product on the field, he said, before expressing his support for current interim head coach James Colsey III. Sykes did confirm that a candidate was recommended to President Robinson last week and was approved. She said the name was leaked. She said she has recognized there is more for her to learn after hearing feedback from alumni and fans, and she wants to work on building trust with people and making sure their voice is heard. She said there would be a search firm moving forward to help decide a candidate. My goal is to name a permanent head coach before National Signing Day, she said. 2 motions were approved by the Board of Trustees, the first being a 1-page overview of the athletics financial action plan by Monday, January 22nd, published to the board for visibility. The second was to ask the president to establish the search committee working with AD Sykes and the search firm with representation from President of the National Alumni Association, the Rattler F Club, the 220 Club, Boosters, FAMU Foundation, a delegate of the SGA, the athletic faculty representative. She didn't put it in here, but it might also include cafeteria workers, the custodians union. Who else? Drop another name in the chat who need to be included in this search firm. Which, you know what? I can understand a search firm, but there is way too many people involved in this search committee. way too many people, because these types of coaching searches are supposed to be secret for a reason. Deion Sanders is included, the Marching 100. Okay, we got Deion Sanders, the Marching 100. There's no way that many people should be included, because when they hear someone that they don't like, they're going to drop and say, oh no, we don't want that. We don't want that. The naked snake lady, the baby tigers, rattlesnakes, too many Indians and no chief. You got a committee, you're getting a search committee, and then you have a search committee that has to include another search committee. Ron DeSantis, like, there's way too many people that are included in this search committee, unless the search committee is going to just submit names and not necessarily be included in this search process. Because if you have that many people in the search process, that is going to be dangerous for coaches who may have other jobs and they want to branch out to FAMU. So basically, if you are not a FAMU alum, if you don't have some sort of FAMU ties for coaching, if you currently have a job, you're not going to apply for this job because you're scared your name would get leaked. There's a couple of people that were on that short list. They wouldn't even be able to apply if they wanted to, because if their name got leaked, that could put their jobs in jeopardy. One example of that is Coach KJ Black. He was named on a short list as being one of the potentials to become a head coach, right? Young is currently working for the LA Rams. The LA Rams lost, so his postseason is over. But KJ Black could not, even if he wanted to, apply for this type of position. And the reason why is because you have way too many people involved. And somebody could leak his name. And then the LA Rams will be like, oh, okay, you're not happy with the organization. Well, you know what? We don't need you anymore. And then he still doesn't get the job at FAMU. And then lastly, even if the search committee says these are the candidates that we think that you should hire, they went through the interview process, they are the most qualified for the position, guess who still has the final say, which was echoed and mimicked by the Board of Trustees, which is the final say of the coach of who is going to be the head coach is the president and the AD. They can recommend who they want, but as we know, and Jackson State knows this all too well, because we had IHL, they did a president search. We had over, I want to say 80 plus applicants submit to this coaching firm, or excuse me, to this presidential search firm. They had over 80 applicants. And do you know who they picked? They picked someone who didn't even apply for the job, who worked at IHL for 16 years. Totally disregarded whatever the presidential firm put forth as candidates, just disregarded it and put whoever they wanted to. Sorry, y'all. It knocked me out. I disagree. It works opposite, often creating a bidding war to keep you. So I feel like it just depends on how much someone actually wants you to be there. Some people's jobs are not necessarily secured. So for Sean Gibbs, for that coaching position, it looks like he was already in talks with Fort Valley about renewing his contract. They were in negotiations. Nothing was set in stone. So for Coach Gibbs, it's different. And then you also have to look at the timeline. It's January. So the timeline for postseason, when coaches are actively looking for new jobs and testing the waters, is virtually over. The portal is closed. I want to say that the kids have two and a half more weeks to decide if they're going to enter into the transfer portal. Whenever a coach leaves, you have 30 days after he leaves. So basically, he left or officially resigned on January 1st. So Wednesday, January 31st, they are going to have to figure out, am I staying at FAMU or am I leaving? Am I staying or am I leaving? So I remember when all those students left from Jackson State, how folks were making fun and talking about, oh, we're going to go back to being irrelevant, back to 4 wins, this, that, and the third. So I'm going to just put this out there already, get it ready, about what type of season we're expecting to have in the SWAC East.
Welcome back to Lessons with Kobe. Today, we will be learning the term belt to ass in sign language. First, we're going to break it down. Stay with me. Belt to ass. One more time. Belt to ass. Together now. Belt to ass. And that concludes my lesson.
So, I mean, that's what's going to happen. Belt to ass. That's what FAMU is going to get in October. Belt to ass. They just lost their defensive coordinator to Murray State. Mind you, their defense held number 1 in several different categories, not just in the SWAC, but in all of FCS. So what does that mean? What does that mean for the FAMU faithful and that dark side defense? In the SWAC, especially in SWAC East, I want to thank Kobe for helping me sign it out.
Welcome back to Lessons with Kobe. Today, we will be learning the term belt to ass in sign language. First, we're going to break it down. Stay with me. Belt to ass. One more time. Belt to ass.
Mm-hmm.
Together now. Belt to ass. And that concludes my lesson. See you next season.
Yeah, see you next season. And I want to say, doesn't FAMU play South Carolina State? Baby, FAMU got a lot right, and FAMU is undefeated in their stadium for almost 3 years. Undefeated. We're going to learn that, y'all. We are going to learn that sign language, okay? We're going to learn it because we need to be able, if you're a Jackson State Tiger, we need to learn it. So I'm gonna be learning belt to ass. I'm gonna learn it, y'all. They got the MEAC SWAC Challenge first. They got South Carolina State coming to their house with Chennis Berry. They got Jackson State in the vet. It's going to be a rough season if they don't get on the right. If they don't do this. Okay. All right, y'all. I'm done. I'm done. I'm gonna leave y'all alone. I'm gonna leave y'all alone. I'm done with the jokes. But Ryan Smith, FAMU defensive coordinator, there was an announcement made today that he's headed to Murray State. Now, whose fault is this that Ryan Smith is gone? Are we saying that the lack of transparency and kind of like AD Sykes taking her time with the coaching search after her particular coach was not approved or was not approved by the stakeholders? Are we indicating that is what basically caused for, this dramatic fallout? We have one of them headed to Colorado, and he's just over there cutting up. He's already cutting up. One thing that these folks don't do, they never cease to, anybody that goes to Colorado, no matter if they're from Jackson State or any other HBCU, they never cease to amaze me with how they go about handling their business. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is, I got to drop the link. What I mean by that is they be cutting up when they get over in those white spaces. They be over there cutting up. First thing that you did was you stole something that did not belong to you. And when I say that, I'm talking about the graphics with the Batman signal. Secondly, you just doing stuff that's kind of like trolling HBCUs, specifically trolling Jackson State, which I never would have thought that a person that came from FAMU would come and troll us again once he got to Colorado. But like I said, some of these things never cease to amaze me. Everybody, we have the year of the Rattler here, none other than Mr. Ford.
Hey, how you doing?
Mr. Ford.
How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
All right.
Is it the year of the Rattler?
No, that's long. It was 2023 was the year of the Rattler, baby. Now they finna go back to being irrelevant. Totally. I tell everybody, we was talking today. I listened to the trustee meeting today. It was I just felt so sad for the kid. Maritovich called in, Junior Maritovich called in, the tight end, the kid Pruitt called in, and I think the big offensive tackle called in. Was it
What do you think about the AD basically being tone deaf and turning a blind eye to these kids?
Let me tell you this, and I tell you this all the time. Y'all are blessed to have Ashley Robinson, because that job was made for him. That lady just got a title. That lady, let me tell you something. That job at Florida A&M, that was a bad hire to bring that lady to Tallahassee. Listen, when Ashley hired Deion Sanders, he didn't go out and get no search committee. He didn't go out and get no company. He did that because he knew what to do. And then after Deion left, he didn't go ask no search committee and all that. He knew it was time for T.C. Taylor. This lady right here, she listening to Rod Broadway. If you're going to listen to Rod Broadway, go work for him. Leave them people in Florida and them alone. That's why she went up there running behind Trey Oliver, and he told her he wasn't interested. Then she tried to sneak in the Gibbs guy. All that's because she listening to Rod Broadway. But the day I just, I'm going to be honest with you. What I saw with I thought initially I wanted to hear the meeting because I thought that the Board of Trustees was going to bring all that foolishness to an end. Instead of bringing it to an end, they help extend it. It's too late to go and get, at this stage, it's too late to go and get a company. It's too late to do a search committee. They getting ready to lose 30 or 40 players. And I'm gonna say this, and I'm not being disrespectful. The way I see it right now, Florida A&M gonna have a losing season at least the next 2 to 3 years. They're gonna have a losing season. Yeah. They didn't learn from when they let that lady, Castile Bryan, and that AD, I think his name was Bobby Lee, when they pulled that stunt and fired Billy Joe, they didn't learn from that. They done did the same thing over. It's he's gone, Willie's gone, and that lady don't know. She don't know what to do. She ain't got a clue. I remember when I'm since 1980, I was a hardcore Georgetown Hoya fan. I love John Thompson and all his boys. And when they said they was gonna bring in Patrick Ewing, I was so happy. But after about the second or third year, I realized that was a bad hire. And that's what I'm saying about Tiffany Dawn Sykes. That was a bad hire. That lady don't know. Listen, she is lost. She is totally lost.
So do you you watched it? So my sentiment so FAMU on Twitter and Facebook. Now, mind you, they're not the actual administration or the Board of Trustees. But the sentiments seem to be that the sentiments. I thought that they really wanted to get rid of her, and they thought that this Board of Trustees was going to be about this meeting was going to be about getting rid of Tiffany Dawn Sykes or demoting her. But the board didn't seem to necessarily
they were going to name a coach. I thought they would go ahead on and name the coach.
Well,
that's what I thought that today.
Wouldn't they just have to say, I make a motion that we name a permanent head coach today? Wouldn't they just be able to do that?
But that's what I thought that was what was going to happen. I thought they would make Cozy the permanent coach today. And then she comes up talking about hiring a firm. Then she talking about she want a search committee with the F Club. And
no,
she
I don't
wants
think
to.
She didn't want that because they were talking about.
But that's what she said.
No, she was saying that I think they were having issues with the Sunshine Law, which means that certain things would be open to the public when you open up these types of avenues. So she actually didn't want a search committee for the coaching search firm because then that stuff would have to be public, which means that coaches' names would be leaked. And it was dangerous for those coaches because they're on staff at other places and they don't want their name out there as looking for a new job while they're at their
listen, if you are a quality coach, I would put myself in anything with that lady and that man, Larry Robinson. I wouldn't do it. Ain't no way I would do it. Because them people are awful. I done told y'all think I'd be kidding. That FAMU program has been destabilized and now it's imploding. I know I said that and a lot of you thought it was a joke, but it was not.
So she basically said, since y'all don't like my pick, I'm going to let the search firm pick. But the search firm is just going to present the candidates that they feel they're going to push forward. It doesn't make sense to spend $10,000 to $70,000 on a search firm, and you're going to rush to make the decision because you're trying to get it before National Signing Day. So that means you're going to pay a coaching search firm $70,000 for 2 weeks worth of work.
That's a waste of money. It's
a waste of money. Then you're including the search committee with even a representative of the SGA in on it. I don't even know how Coach Sean Gibbs' name got leaked, but if his name could get leaked and none of you guys were involved in the search, that means that all of these people that are included could leak a name again, and you risk the job security of coaches. So that means they're not even going to put their name in the hat. Why would I?
I wouldn't touch that program. I wouldn't touch, like I said, whether you want to accept it or not, they getting ready to go back to being irrelevant again. They going back to the days of Earl Holmes and what's that other guy was named? Reuben Carter.
Earl Holmes was a internal hire.
When they was terrible.
Earl Holmes was an internal hire.
Yeah, that's what they're going back to. Listen, these quality people ain't gonna touch that. because it's obvious that it's too much dysfunction. It's too much dysfunction. I told you, and I tried to tell you this, that this thing was going to dissolve into a civil war. And I'm telling you, I wouldn't touch that mess down there with nothing. I wouldn't go down there. If these quality coaches, they got enough sense. Who would want to work under that lady and Larry Robinson?
I think that if she would have started the coaching search right after the Celebration Bowl, they would have been able to get a good list of candidates who wanted to be involved.
That lady is incompetent. It was a bad. Like I said, did you hear? Did you hear? Your AD at Jackson State say when he needed to coach, did he say I got to go find a search committee? I got to find a search firm. Did he say that?
Well,
no.
Also,
he knew what to do.
When he did it, I don't recall there being so much uproar or so much, like, I've heard after that there was people who didn't want to hire TC, and there was people that wanted Ed Reed, or they wanted this and they wanted that. But at the end of the day, his pick was respected and embraced, number one. Number two, it stabilized the program.
Now, who was this?
We're talking about the TC Taylor, Ed Reed, Ray Lewis. I want to say who else was named. I think that they name drop Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, and TC Taylor. And it's interesting. Maybe it's because at that time there was so much turmoil going on with Deion Sanders that the coaching search, he felt like a minimum of 10 days, go ahead and announce it. Because by December 13th, TC Taylor was named the head coach.
Yeah, because Ashley knew what to do. That's what I'm telling you. This lady is incompetent. She don't know what to do. That's why she called him Broadway. That's why she offered the job first to the guy at North Carolina Central. He turned it down. Then she offered the job to
I also think that AD Ashley Robinson probably was already making those moves in-house because everybody around that program knew that he was getting ready to leave, even though they weren't saying it. So they've already known. So I'm pretty sure AD Ashley Robinson already had his short list, already had his interviews. And I like the way he ran it because it was similar to how Power Fives run it. You know, you only have that small window in between the time that coach says that they're leaving and the time that they announce the new head coach. Everything stabilized.
Yeah. Well, like I said, some new powers. Florida, you're right. 2023 was the year of the Rattler, but that's gone now. They are in a state of irrelevance. We're gonna have some new powers going to rise in the SWAC. You know what? I wouldn't doubt it.
Mike Minter for FAMU.
So, that's what, head coach?
Yeah. No.
I don't know.
I don't think he want to go down there. I don't think he want to go down there.
I can see him as defense coordinator. I don't know if I want him as my head coach right now. I could do defense coordinator.
I don't think he want to go down there to that cesspool right now.
Told him
cesspool.
It's a cesspool.
Well, listen, Dr. Lori said that there are a couple of things that you need to have on your list, and which is you need to be affiliated with or in some form or fashion have some type of FAMU ties. That's very important to the FAMU faithful. So,
let me stop you right there. Jake Gaither finished Knoxville College. Rudy Hubbard finished Ohio State. Billy Joe finished Villanova. So when you look at some of their more successful coaches, they were from somewhere else. Willie Simmons finished Clemson, I think.
Yeah, Willie Simmons finished that. Well, he finished at Clemson, but he started at Clemson, but
he went to the Citadel. I know he finished played. Citadel.
I think she said that his wife had ties to.
Yeah, his wife is like a fourth generation Rattler.
And his whole his grandmother or something like that sent a lot of his family members to.
Yeah, his
FAMU.
uncles and aunts went to FAMU.
Yeah, so
he grew up on the campus. He grew up on that campus.
So he was the only one that actually kind of ventured out and went somewhere else instead of FAMU. He went to Clemson, and so he was. Was that when he was behind Woody Dantzler? I think it was.
Yeah, he played with Dantzler. Dantzler.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah, he played with Dantzler.
So I don't think. Oh, how you doing, Mr. Ford? Timona, how
you doing, man?
Hey, how you doing?
Try not to freeze my butt off out here.
No, we're not. We are not calling Dr. Lori in here. Dr. Lori.
That's all of us.
She is handling her business outside. She does not need to come to the platform to speak on. The Board of Trustees has spoken. Let the Board of Trustees, they speak for themselves. It is what it is. They made the determination that they're going to do a search committee. Mr. Ford, what do you think about a search committee for the search committee for the coaching firm? So including the FAMU National Alumni Association, including the let me list off all of these: Rattler F Club, 220 Quarterback Club, Boosters, FAMU Foundation, a delegate of the SGA, and the athletic faculty representative. What do you think about all of these participants in the search for a coach? Doc, what do you think?
I think that should have been done in the beginning. Because I'll give you an example. Just about a couple weeks ago, when we found, when they let go of Hugh Jackson and we all was in an uproar about Hugh Jackson and Grambling, Grambling went, Travion Scott went out there and he created a search committee. So he had people that was on the search committee. He also brought in Doug Williams and Shaq Harris. He also had a couple of players on there that was on that committee. Football alumni that was on the committee. So they did the right thing, and I feel like in a sense they had came with the right coach and Mickey Joseph. To me, you scrub all this stuff out if you get a committee. As soon as Willie signed the dotted line at Duke, the committee should have been formed and say, hey, we're gonna have we're gonna have at least one representative from each of these groups, plus let's say an offensive and defensive representative from the football team, and let's put an alumni football player on there too to make sure that this process goes as smooth as possible. But nobody didn't want to do it, and so nobody even thought about doing it because they wanted to keep it in-house, which is cool. I can understand you want to keep it in-house. That's good. That's cool. Because that still keeps continuity. But if you gonna hire from the outside, yes, get you a committee set up and let them speak who they want. But they also have to be on.
They've already spoken though. Like
they already spoke.
It's either Coach Roll or it's Coach Colsey. But mind you, all of these coaches that are on the staff that helped take this particular school to a championship, because because AD Sykes is waiting so long and now they're doing a search committee, these coaches have submitted their resume.
Right. And so here's the thing though, too. Even let's just say this, let's put it like this. If she just say, okay, I'm gonna either hire Coach Colsey or Coach Roll, and they don't live up to the standards of what they're supposed to do as far as a winning tradition for FAMU, then guess who's gonna come back on? It's gonna come back right back to her. They're gonna say, well, she didn't make a good hire, but y'all want this person in place of a head coach in the first. You want them to be the head coach in the first place. So is she gonna roll with that? And they don't let's just say they had three seasons of 5-7 or maybe 4-8 or some stuff like that, because we're going to a 12 game schedule.
Well, let's
It's
go
going to
over
come
the candidates then. Let's quickly go over the candidates that the alums have put forward.
Okay.
And then I'm trying to figure out what coach right now is going to actually apply for the FAMU job that's going to. I feel like it's going to be another situation just like Southern, except for now FAMU's in a really bad position because of the transfer portal and because of the
coaches leaving.
Coaches leaving because they don't know if they're going to have a job. If you bring in a brand new coach, well, who's to say you're going to keep me on staff?
True. And if you bring a brand new coach from the outside, I would think you want to keep at least a couple of those coaches on the staff to where he can have some sort of continuity, and they know the area, know the kids and stuff like that. You keep the
done
thing
lost
rolling.
your recruiting coordinator.
True.
And he's telling folks to come where you're celebrated and not tolerated, and he's
we gonna talk. I'll talk about that tomorrow morning.
You're gonna talk about that? Yeah, go where you're tolerated and celebrated, and he's promoting Colorado
with a Jackson State
so he's
video.
Gone. And then you just had your defensive coordinator who was very pivotal in the dark cloud defense. Somebody corrected me in the chat and said not dark side, dark cloud. Yes. Dark cloud, dark defense, darkness falls, darkness in the daytime. Jackson State by 40. Okay? No, by 40. By 40.
Can I say this before you do this? Before you run down the list of coaches? I would say that the person on the board that made so much sense, that had some sense of insight, was Mr. Crossman, John Crossman.
Okay, so you want to talk about Crossman's statement. So I feel like Crossman, which it's interesting because I could have sworn Crossman was on Bethune-Cookman's board as well.
He is.
Not y'all double dipping. Y'all got Crossman on both Bethune-Cookman and FAMU's board.
And Belvin Perry too.
What?
Belvin Perry is on both boards. You
got Belvin Perry and John Crossman. Mind you, now they said allegedly that the Board of Trustees at Bethune is a problem. Why is the reason why a lot of reoccurring problems happen with Bethune, why they don't have a president right now. But two of the Board of Trustees on Bethune-Cookman's board are also on FAMU's board. I don't even know how that's possible.
It's possible in the state of Florida.
Mr. Ford, we're getting ready to go over the coaching candidates.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so and I'm going to be very careful because I didn't until today when they talked about the coaching search, I didn't realize the potential negative impacts just naming a coach who already has a job could potentially have on them. Like if they're already a head coach, like for instance saying, oh, Trey Oliver would be great for FAMU. Like, we don't want nobody looking at Trey Oliver sideways like he's thinking about going to FAMU.
Right, because he told her he wasn't interested. She called him.
Yeah, he had put it out there. He had put it out there to us on for HBCU Nightly that I ain't even thinking about that. He is North Carolina Central through and through.
Yeah.
He's an Eagle.
Yeah, he's an Eagle. He
and
played
his parents were Eagles, I think. His parents were Eagles.
Mm-hmm. So his family it's just like Lavelle Moulton for basketball for them. He an Eagle. Yeah. They Eagles, so they ain't going nowhere else.
So Billy Roll.
He's on staff.
Billy Roll joined the Florida A&M football staff in 2018. Following an illustrious head coaching career, leading multiple Miami high school teams to state championships. role, serves as the assistant head coach and defensive backs coach. He's a native of Miami, so he's in Florida. I think that was, I don't want to limit a coaching search, but I remember specifically saying that that FAMU wants a coach that is from Florida. I don't know why they limited it to Florida, maybe because they think that they would be able to recruit from there. Had a stellar career as a Rattler defensive back under College Football Hall of Fame member, head coach Rudy Hubbard from 1980 to 1984. So he is a member of the Rattlers. He played for the Rattlers. Okay. He graduated in 1984 with a bachelor's in physical education. He went on to play for the USFL and for the Montreal Alouettes of the Canadian Football League. So he has some people say semi-pro, but he went on to further his career in a league. He developed multiple Division I and NFL players while coaching in Miami. Teddy Bridgewater, Amari Cooper, and Ja'Cory Harris are a few of the standout athletes to excel with his propulsion of his tutelage. Roll has won a total of 4 state championships. He led Northwestern to state titles in 98 and 2007. The 2007 championship with Harris at the helm also resulted in a national championship. Roll led Killen to its lone state title in 2004. So basically, Billy Roll is actually a really good choice. If we're talking about the ability to recruit in Florida, heavy in the high school ranks, which is really important. And then, of course, he's been a part of FAMU's team where they've went, I want to say 6-5, 9-3, 9-2, 9-2, and then 12-1. Not NFL Miami Dolphins Coach of the Year. So I'm trying to figure out what exactly, if we're looking at why you don't just hire somebody, why don't you just hire Billy Roll?
She know the president want him. They don't want him, and they don't want the guy that's the interim. They don't want them people.
Why?
I mean, that's, like I told you before.
Politics.
Yeah, this guy right here that's the president of FAMU, I don't even think that guy likes athletics. I really don't. I don't think he likes athletics because it's obvious he didn't like, because he's starting to tear down everything that the past coach, everything in the last 6-7 years that he's built, they trying to tear it down. That's why I told you it's a coup d'etat. Yeah, I don't think that president or that athletic director was down with Willie Simmons. I don't. And I really don't want, I think they want that staff out too. Now that's like Brother Bakari said, that's just me. They don't want Billy Roll, that Larry Robb, Dr. Larry Robinson.
But just based off of what I read, and we're getting ready to read Coach Cozy, but based off of what I just read, it's almost like it's perfect. A no-brainer. Yeah, but they don't want him. That athletic director, that lady doesn't want him, and the president don't want him either. And then another thing that I noticed is, of course, you'll be able to retain student athletes. So at this point, if it's not Billy Roll, let's look at James Colsey now. Let's look at that. And also, I wanted to say this quickly. So having a tumultuous, never-ending, revolving door at the AD is detrimental to a athletic department.
Well, that's true, but they better make a move and get that woman out of there because she's incompetent. They're not going to have outstanding
programs. Do you know that they've had 12 ADs since 2009?
Yes, I do. I remember all of them. You just go down the line. I can tell you about every one of them.
One of them was a Hall of Famer, too.
Yeah, Kessler Winslow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I heard that Mr. Winslow had his share of incidents. And, it's like What are you going to do? But you need stability in order to be able to build a program. I feel like that after doing my research, Coach Simmons really excelled under a lot of pressure in his programs, not having a stable AD.
Well, he didn't have that when he was at Prairie View. Because the person that hired him at Prairie View is Ashley Robinson. He ain't had no pressure. He ain't had no type of pressure when he was at Prairie View. And the best thing, and to me, the best thing about when he was there at PV, Ashley didn't butt in. Ashley doing the same thing that he doing at Jackson. He not butting in. He not all, would say all in the videos and stuff like that. But he's staying behind the scenes and stuff. And basically letting his coaches do what they got to do.
So, Coach James Colsey, Mr. Ford, I don't know if you were on the call when I showed that they actually met this past weekend at a basketball game. They were sitting together, allegedly.
Right.
They were sitting together at a basketball game this weekend. Tiffany Don Sykes and Colsey.
Okay. Well, he is the interim football coach.
I mean, they were, if you see them sitting together, it's like, oh, okay, what's going on?
You can't, what they say about a book?
I don't know if that's the back of his head or not, but that's allegedly. Thank you, Christopher.
Yeah.
Allegedly, they were hanging out.
One thing is obvious to me is she don't want him, and she don't want Billy Rose. That's not allegedly. That's facts.
Okay, so here's the problem with that assertion. FAMU can only come. I think that the state only pays up to $250,000. It was $200,000, but it's increased since to $250,000. So $250,000 is the maximum amount that the state of Florida can pay the football coach, right?
Right.
The rest of that money has to come from the direct support organizations. So the organizations that asked to be on the search committee, with the exception of the SGA and the faculty advisor, I want to say, they have to actually meet the rest of that contract with their donations. If you don't have the acceptance of those various organizations, you're not going to be able to pay the contract for the football coach or the staff. So you have to meet them in the middle. And I think this coaching search doesn't necessarily pacify anybody's concerns. If anything, it makes it worse. And you don't want to be like Southern, where Coach Graves was named the interim coach for right before the Bayou Classic, right? Then they went through this coaching search and this time of uncertainty only just to name Coach Graves the head coach because they didn't have enough money to afford the salary of what these other coaches wanted. So Coach James Colsey is the interim head coach. He's just now got to Florida A&M in 2022. But he's worked. He contributed to a Rattlers defense that ranked top 25 in 5 defensive categories and top 10 in 3. He was working, so he's already had a head football coach experience at St. Mary's University in Canada. They played for some championships, and he was all the way in Canada. So it says in 2022, Colsey left his post as the head football coach at St. Mary's University with an overall record of 23-19. St. Mary's played for 2 AUS championships in 2018 and 19 and posted a conference best 7-1 record during the 2018 season. In total, Coach Colsey posted 6 All-Canadians He developed and coached 4 CFL draft picks starting in 2018 with defensive line Trezor Mafuta, in 2021 with linebacker Jarick Richards, and offensive lineman Peter Cordes, defensive back Adrian Green. During Coach Colsey's time at St. Mary's, he also had 4 Player of the Years, 2 being Defensive Player of the Year, and a final total of 20 all-conference players while being the head football coach. So he's been at he's coached at the defensive, at the Division II level. He was a defense graduate assistant at Florida State from 2004 to 2006. He coached cornerbacks that included first-round pick Antonio Cromartie, Patrick Robinson, and second-round pick Bryant McFadden. James Colsey III began his coaching career in 2000 at FIU, where he coached the cornerbacks and was also the co-special teams coordinator working with returners. Before FIU, he enjoyed the success of being a 2-sport athlete at Florida State University. He played from 93 to 97 on the FSU football team and lettered on the baseball team. The Florida State Seminoles won the national championship during the 1993 season. So Coach Colsey is fairly new technically to FAMU, right? Fairly new. Only been there a year, but he's from Florida State.
It's not popping up, bro.
Mr. Ford. I don't know who this is. Sanford and Son. If Tiffany was a part of my family, they would have been on y'all head playing with us like this. Okay. Canada doesn't even play football the same way we do. So that's my thing. A lot of folks are saying that that's the thing. You have some folks that want for Colsey to be hired as permanent, and then you have some people that want Billy Roll as permanent. So now they're going to have a coaching search.
Hey, Tamona.
Yeah.
So you said, okay, so Coach Colsey played at Florida State from 93 to 97, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Sanford,
basically,
you got to connect your, I think this is Mr. Ford. I don't know if it is or not. But anyway, you have to connect your device in order for me to bring you up because it says device not connected. So you have to turn your mic on.
so he basically played under Charlie Ward, Derek Brooks, who else on that he played with some good players on that team right there. Some great players on that team. So
I'm understanding why there's a little bit of reservations from some folks. They have some folks who are like, here, I'm gonna do a poll. So we're gonna do a poll: Coach James Colsey or Coach Billy Roll, because there's some people who want him, and then there's some folks that want another coach that they haven't actually named, which means go ahead and do a coaching search. Let's go ahead. Okay, so I did a poll. I asked, should FAMU utilize a search committee and a search committee to find a new coach? It says, should FAMU utilize a search committee and coach search firm or hire within the program? So the choices were a search firm with no search committee, which means they don't involve the FAMU National Alumni Association, a search firm and a search committee, which means that the search committee has a integral part of basically that coaching search. Hire within and be done with it, or don't know. FAMU is all over the place. So actually, folks, majority said hire within and be done with it at 44%. A lot of people said they don't know. FAMU's all over the place. Very little people agreed with the search firm. Only 9% of folks. So now we need to ask who should be the head coach. And do you have another coach that we can add in here?
As far as who they want to talk to?
No,
I mean,
another head coach. Besides Billy Roll and Coach Cozy, is there anybody else?
Ooh. Shoot, I'll go with Anton Sewell up in from Morgan.
Somebody just had to put Ed Reed out there. Lord have mercy.
But his name's still gonna pop up.
Anton who?
Antoine Sewell from Morgan State. He's the defensive coordinator.
Did he graduate from FAMU?
He ain't got to graduate from FAMU, but he can get you some kids from Is
he from Florida? And Jerome, we are not putting James Bell on there. Y'all are being petty now. No, we're not putting. See, the only problem with Fred McNair is he's not from Florida.
That don't mean, see, it's a lot of people, but just like you said, it's a lot of people that was not from Florida that actually was successful at FAMU. So
I know, but Mr. Ford.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we're going over 4 head coaches to take over the FAMU program. So we have Coach James Colsey, Coach Billy Roll, Fred McNair, or Ed Reed.
Okay, none of them will come close to that getting that job.
None?
None of them. She don't want anybody. That Lamb Washington on there, because that lady's being told her guru is Rod Broadway. That's who she's calling and getting names from. And see, them people threatening her job. That's why she wants the search committee and the search firm, because she's feeling the heat. The president basically told him today, you know, that he's backing her and all that stuff, because it's a lot of heat on her right now.
It doesn't really matter whether or not she hires, even if she hires Coach Billy Roll or she hires James Colsey, if they have a bad season, she's gonna get blamed. There's no
but she don't want to, she's not gonna give them a chance. She didn't even acknowledge that staff today. Did you hear her presentation? Did you hear her presentation today? She didn't even acknowledge that staff. She don't want nothing to do with them, and I don't think the president does either.
What
they
about
want them
Sam
people
Washington?
out.
Sam Washington
That's
gonna
what
stay retired.
I wouldn't doubt if she pulled his name out the hat. Because like I told you, she listening to Rod Broadway.
Who is this Rod Broadway man?
Rod Broadway won
Look
4
him up.
things.
Rod was the coach at Grambling. He was a coach at North Carolina Central and the coach at North Carolina A&T. He was very successful. She met him when she was at Grambling.
And Grambling.
Yeah.
He was the only one that won. No, that was Fobbs.
Yeah, he won it too. I think he won a national championship at Grambling Central, and he won a national championship at A&T.
He won a couple of them at A&T.
Yeah, but that's who her guru is.
Why do they want? There's a question in the chat, Mr. Ford. Why do they want them out? What type of scandal do they have going on at FAMU, or is it just they don't?
She doesn't want. Listen. The president and she goes by what the president said. I don't think he was no big fan of Willie Simmons. I really don't. And I think that they want their people in there. Willie Simmons was hired by the guy who was the coach up at Georgia. He played for FAMU. He was a tight end for FAMU. Went to the Oakland Raiders. What was his name? Oh, man. He was the AD. Okay. What was that guy's name?
So I got a question, Mr. Ford. Who was the last FAMU player, ex-FAMU player, to coach at FAMU? And did they have a successful time when he was there at FAMU? Wasn't it Earl Holmes?
Yeah, Earl Holmes was the last one. He was terrible. He's one
Why
of the
was
worst
he
coaches in
terrible,
FAMU
Mr.
history.
Ford? Why was he
Oh, he
terrible?
was one of the worst. I told you, sitting watching his teams was like watching paint dry. He was awful. It
So
was
what makes
terrible.
it so to me in a sense, and I'm
So
not
if
trying
she
to and
wants a clean slate, why don't she just say we want a clean slate? Like, why are you guys holding? First of all, there's a lot of people in the chat that are saying that she doesn't want to retain any of the staff.
Yeah,
But
she
if
don't.
this is okay, so if this is the case, why are you playing with folks' education? See, this is the problem. We all know that FAMU already has issues with their APR. A inability to retain these students is only going to make it worse because now they're going to leave the program.
Yeah, about at least 30 or 40 of them. Yes, they are.
And that's the APR is already abysmal. I'm gonna just show you quickly, just because this is another conversation that we had at Jackson State, which is when Deion Sanders left, they were concerned that the 60 players that entered the transfer portal, that it would negatively affect the APR. So how is APR calculated? This is a hypothetical Division I football team with 85 members. So fall semester outcomes, 75 players finish the term academically eligible and are retained for the spring semester. APR points earned, 75 times 2 of 2 equals 150 of 150. 3 players are retained for the spring semester but are academically ineligible. 3 times 1 of 2 means you'll get 3 of the 6 points allotted. 5 players leave the institution while academically eligible. So if players leave the institution but they're still eligible, you'll get 5 of the 10 points. If you have players leave the institution and they're not academically eligible, you don't get any points. Right. So for this calculation, with the 75 players that were eligible, the 3 players that were retained for the spring semester but ineligible, 5 players that left the institution but they were academically eligible, and then 2 players who left ineligible, the APR calculation is 158 of 170 or 0.929. Your APR is 929. Mind you, the APR has to be 930, right? So
yeah.
even with this, which is, it's kind of ridiculous if you think about it, right? If you have 3, what is that noise? Are you eating something?
No, that's me. I'm sorry. Apologize.
Okay. So if that's 3, that's only 3 students that were ineligible that were retained for the spring, 5 players leaving eligible, and then 2 players leave the institution while academically ineligible, excuse me, you still don't retain the 930. Like, I feel like there's some sabotage going on with these students because you're holding them up for the spring, right? They don't know what's going on. They have to enroll, school starting. Whereas you could have just made this statement and let these kids either go on about their business, or they would have known that they need to graduate for the spring. So their schedules might have looked a little different.
Oh, yeah.
I call cap on that APR number. Well, the only thing with calling cap on the APR number is this is from the NCAA, unless they updated it. I mean, I would be filing a waiver anyway. It says the cutoff in the APR scale under which teams are subject to penalty or loss of access to postseason beginning in 2014 and 15 was 930. The 930 benchmark predicts roughly a 50% graduation success rate. And it's a 4-year rolling average. So I think that they need to probably, if there are any type of penalties, then they need to obviously file a waiver, because you had COVID and now you have this coaching change. You can't expect for HBCUs who are being poached by Power Fives and Group of Five schools to be able to maintain a 930 APR when they're already struggling to maintain that.
But at the same time, though, Tamala, it's still like when a kid leaves, if they get into the portal, it's still up to once again, it's going to be up to that coach to make sure that that kid gets into the school where they're going to go, make sure they get into that class. So once they enroll into that school, that the new school that they go to, the original school is off the hook for them. So that's why they, when it comes down to it, a lot of people say, make sure you know what you're doing when you're going to the portal, because not only just affect this school, it's going to affect the new school that you're going to, and it's also going to affect you as a student athlete.
So Mr. Daniel said this is a case where FAMU admitted wants to keep the players but get rid of the current staff.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's not possible.
Anything possible,
Well,
just like Kevin Garnett said.
like I said, this Florida A&M's program has been torn up. That football program has been torn up from the inside. That's who's tearing up that program.
Mr. Ford,
It's
you
been
said
done from the top.
Correct? Implosion. You said that it's implosion.
Remember, coup d'etat and then implosion. They were destabilized.
So they are saying that the APR is okay at FAMU with the waiver. And you know what? We're hoping that is the case, because the only thing that I would have to say is that because FAMU is already on a 5-year probation, we don't know if that applies. If they do, are you still granted a waiver if you're already on probation? That's a question that needs to be answered, right?
I think you can. The best person that can answer that question is somebody that actually works that actually does compliance.
Yeah, you gotta file a lawsuit against that. Ava said that's not true. So we having a little debate or debacle about whether or not this is APR. We'll find out soon enough. Mr. Ford, what are your predictions with this coaching search, or what do you think is going to happen in the next 2 to 3 weeks? Mr. Ford's gone. Doc, what do you think is going to happen in the next 2 to 3 weeks?
I think they're gonna make a decision, and they're gonna make it because of the simple fact that signing day is coming up in a couple of weeks.
Why would they haven't even hired a coaching? I'm pretty sure a coaching firm takes like literally maybe what's today? Today's Tuesday. They would have to find the coaching firm, then they have to sign. They might have to remit payment. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, they
take at least a week, right, to get a search committee together.
You don't have to take a week. It'll take a couple of days.
For a coaching firm?
Yeah. Yeah. it's not, it's not like the old days where it takes like 2 weeks for you to find a coaching firm. It's going to take it'll take a couple of days for that to happen.
Well, we're getting ready to open up the doors of the transfer portal, which will probably be opening up on their own shortly for some folks due to the lack of a hire. So
the doors of the portal.
Yeah, they're going to be open.
Are going to be open.
I still listen. This song is still. It just touches my soul, which is Reverend Paul Jones, because and yes, it's in banter, but the gist of the song, if you listen to it, whether or not you are a member of FAMU or just somebody that's on here, I'm sure that everybody can relate to having good days and some sleepless nights and knowing that at the end of the tunnel there is light. So I'm going to go ahead and play that, and then we'll open up the doors of the transfer portal. Everybody in the comments, go ahead and drop your favorite hymn.
I've had some weary days and some sleepless nights. But when I look around, and I think things over, all of my good days outweigh my bad days. I don't complain. The clouds hang low. I can hardly see the road. I ask the question, Lord. Lord, why should this day? But He knows one day from me. Although my weary eyes, they can't see, so I'll just say, thank you, Lord. I won't complain. But He is so good to me. He's been good to me. More than this world you could ever be. He's been so good. But He knows one day from me. Although my weary eyes, they can't see, so I'll just say, thank you, Lord. I won't complain. But He is so good to me. He's been good to me. More than this world
You ain't got no sense.
Pat your chest. Lord, pat your chest if you gotta just get it out, get it out, get it out. Get it out, get it out. Coach Willie Simmons done left and ain't nothing been right since. Ain't nothing been right since.
He made a big time, Willie.
Nothing has been right since he left.
Willie.
Everything is
He gone, Willie.
ever since he left, it ain't been right since.
He made a big time, Willie.
He over there at Duke
Willie.
in his cubicle, not sharing the world.
He gone, Willie.
Only has to focus on running backs.
He made a big time, Willie.
She is saying, Father, Father, what have I done to deserve this? I feel like there is light at the end of the tunnel, though, right? This cannot go on forever. Somebody does have to become the head coach. But we've been there before with Coach Deion Sanders, but I don't think that our coaching, like ours was basically an after effect, right? Wasn't necessarily, ours was after the coach left that all the BS started.
Yeah.
I have a live viewing, of course, of what happened today when it came across folks' screen that the defensive coordinator was headed to Murray State. This was a couple of the Rattlers.
No. What the fuck, y'all?
Excuse the language.
Damn.
That's not funny. It's true. What? And here she is. That's like the AD not understanding like why it's so important for you to go ahead and get a coach. She's like, what? Like what's going on? What's going on? She's like, what? Like, what's the big deal? What's going on? And he's over here just like, come on. What are they going to do with that $140,000 they got setting over in that account for coaching?
Oh, it's more than that.
How much is it?
Over 600,000.
What they going to do with that money?
It stays in. It's in the alumni account.
I know, but it was specifically technically for Coach Simmons and his coaching staff, but all of his coaching staff is leaving. And so now what?
I got a question. Would you want, if you are an assistant coach right now and all the stuff that's going on at that school right now, would you even want to stay there and adhere to the BS? Or would you just pack your stuff and leave?
They said that 140K is not going nowhere. The AD can't touch it.
Yeah.
I think that some folks are going to stay at the staff, on staff until there's an announcement for a head coach and that head coach says your services are no longer needed. A lot of people will stay because they have family in Tallahassee. They are from Florida. And EA, I'm sorry to say, but last year when it was Jackson State's turn, it was Jackson State's turn. This is my face every time a FAMU account, whenever they come up in here talking about we're all worried about FAMU. this is just basically what happens when when you're the championship team, meaning you beat everybody in the SWAC. All eyes are going to be on you because you're supposed to be the leading football team to beat next year. But now you lost your coach, your defensive coordinator, and your recruiting coordinator. You guys still don't have a coach. And in less than a month is National Signing Day. So, of course, we're going to talk about it. So anyway, we're going to end on a high note. We're going to end on a high note. I'm not going to be petty no more.
Caramel.
This is Mr. Earl making fun of my popcorn video. So now I'm eating my popcorn.
Caramel.
Once again, it ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun.
Yeah, they need a SOS. Just that depicts this whole thing right now. SOS. That's what they need.
SOS.
Mm-hmm.
Why you say that?
Shoot, they need to be saved.
Like
that's what an SOS is.
Like the SOS that they had for that they took over to Colorado.
Mm-hmm. The vaccine is gone.
The FAMU Buffaloes.
Yep.
I like.
Why would you gonna call them FAMU Buffaloes? Just like they call us Jackson State Buffaloes.
They did call us Jackson State Buffaloes last year. I think they forgot about that. So this is my last one, y'all, and then I'm done. I promise y'all I'm done. The Coloratless. Listen, this is my last joke of the night. I promise you. So let me give you guys some background first, because I want you guys to know that even though I'm making fun of y'all, I made fun of us. So let me show you this one, which is, of course, Neely from the pregame show. When he was being messy and like playing this little tit for tat with Jackson State. So I'm going to play the original video and then I'm going to play the update so that you guys know that when I'm being in banter and in jest, that I was cracking jokes on Jackson State as well. It was wasn't just us.
That's
right?
That's nearly the big buffalo, not the little, not the little one. Big buffalo.
Yeah. I mean, he had a whole live picture and everything. Woo! I needed to pause so that folks know, even if whether you're from Colorado or not. So the terminology somewhere around Colorado or SWAC, that actually came from Neely. So he, in his transfer letter, said, "I'm not a mountain man, I'm a mountain man." And he was just, for some reason, he did some type of scripture. And then it says, "Forever SWAC." And underneath it, it says, "Somewhere around Colorado." So when you see me doing that, I got that from Neely. And it's a play on words that he did. And that's what happened to us. And then I got the Louis luggage with the Jackson State logo on it because Deion Sanders let y'all know.
On Tiger Nation, it is Neely from the pregame show. You can see we're not in Jackson. We're in Boulder, Colorado.
Mind you, this man got a whole J on his head. He's still wearing a J hat. Why are you wearing a J hat? Why? You wearing a J hat
Colorado.
And so I just did him a little, I guess you could call a transfer portal letter. Okay. So that was the original one, right? But this is the new rendition. And I call this the snakeskin edition for the Louis Vuitton luggage. Because now we got a rattler.
It ain't Louis no more.
Huh?
It ain't Louis no more. It's Samsonite.
It's what?
It's Samsonite.
Oh Lord. Well, it's the snakeskin Samsonite edition. Okay. So this is the rewrite of course, the transfer portal to Colorado. So I said FAMU Buffaloes or not. That so it's Can we just take a second to look at this, the level of disrespect, because Coach didn't even create this. Somebody in the FAMU graphic design department did. Oh, Lord. Uh-oh. There you go. So there's the Louis with the snakeskin edition. So that's the end. So I'm glad that you guys were able to figure out that the jokes that I was cracking or have been cracking against FAMU, I did the same thing for Jackson State. Y'all have a blessed and safe night. We're going to, what is this called? Benediction? The benediction. We're going to pray that the search is expeditiously finished and that a coach is named. Thank you so much, Mr. Daniels, for the $5 super chat. Greatly appreciated. The repass. This ain't no funeral, Lord. Somebody said we're supposed to play the funeral music. I didn't think it was a funeral. I just thought, guess we're gonna play some funeral music. You got anything to say, Pastor Doc Holiday?
Man. Of course, you always do a good job as far as doing what you do. To a prosperous, to a good year for 2024. Hopefully
we can't hear you.
Still Jack State by 40.
Facts. And that's all you need to know. Is Jackson State by 40. Y'all have a good night and be blessed. The doors of the transfer portal are now open.